In this video, we'll take a look at how we can add our takeoffs to the costing and also how we can do a takeoff from the costing itself. So first, we're in our takeoffs area within the estimate. So you can see I've got all the takeoffs that I've created here. Now, what you can do is if you hit this Add Takeoffs to Costing button, you'll see it'll bring up all the takeoffs that you've got for the estimate. And if you go to this cost category column here and you select whichever cost category that particular takeoff applies to, and you just go through and select each one. Obviously, as this is just an example, I'm not matching to the exact cost categories that they should be matched to, but just to show you in this example, once a cost category has been selected for each takeoff, you'll be able to hit create, and that'll automatically import these takeoff line items into the costing based on the costing category that you selected here. The other way is to call up a takeoff from the costing itself. So if we go to our costing section of the estimate, and let's just go to our slab cost code, for example, and I'll just go to edit and I'll just add an item here at the bottom. And what you can do is if you click this calculator icon here, you'll see that you have the option to insert the takeoff into that line item. So I'll just go to the drop down here and you can see the footing takeoffs that I've created. And what you can also do is that you can get the quantities to automatically calculate. So it's a linked takeoff, and you do that by clicking this toggle here. So if we want to take, for example, all the concrete cubic meters that we need to allow for this project, I'll select the board piers here, and then I'll hit the drop down again, and I'll also select the slab area cubic meters, and you can see those two takeoffs added in to the line item. And you can see the total cubic meters of concrete here, which is calculated here as a total. So we've got 29.66 cubic meters. And then you can see you've also got the option to add wastage, also add rounding, whether you want to round up or down or to the nearest figure. So there's a few options there. And now, like I mentioned, because we've got this toggle marked as on, this takeoff will automatically always link to this costing line item. So any changes to this takeoff or these two items will automatically change the quantities and update in our costing section here. So I'll just show you that in an example, how that works. So let's just click accept here. And we better give this a name. We'll call it slab concrete cubic meters. And I'll just hit update. Okay, so you can see that we've got 30 cubic meters of concrete as it stands for the slab. And you can also see this little right angle icon here. So if I click that, that'll automatically take me to the takeoff plan. And that sort of links to the takeoffs that are associated with that costing line item. Let's escape this full screen actually, and I'll close this off. And what we want to do is show you how the takeoff affects the costing specifically from having that linked takeoff item. So if I go to footings, and what we can do is let's just go to this slab area takeoff, and maybe what we can do is let's just add another section here. So click this tool. The depth was 100 millimeters. And let's just now add the porch area to the slab. Okay, so we've got here 0.56 cubic meters of concrete. You can see that that's added that extra takeoff to the slab area. Let's just do a few other changes as an example. Let's add in a few more board piers. So if I click our cylinder tool, and our depth was 3 meters, and the diameter was 450. And let's now just add in a few more board piers along here. So what did we do? We added in another 4 board piers. That's obviously increased our total cubic meters of concrete. And what we can now do is, if I hit next to go to the costing screen, and I go to that slab cost category, and I go down to that slab concrete cubic meters line item, you can see that that's increased by 2 meters there. And again, it does that by, when we click this calculator icon and we select this toggle to automatically link the takeoff to the costing wherever we've added a takeoff to a specific line item in our costing. If we don't want it to link, all we have to do is untoggle this off, and we can clear that, and then we can still add in our takeoffs. It just means that they won't automatically link. So let's just add in the board piers again, hit plus, and then we'll add in our slab area cubic meters. Again, it gives you the same figure, but this isn't linked now to the takeoff. So if you do make any changes to the takeoff further to this one that we just made, it won't update this figure. And now one other thing you can do is that if you do want to link your takeoff items to specific line items in your costing, you can actually also link that from another part of the takeoff window here. So if I go to flooring and I select floor tiling as an example, and what we want to do is, if we click this pencil icon here to edit this takeoff, you can see that we've got the option here of a costing lookup. So if I click here and I want to link my floor tiling to tiling or tile supply, and I want to link it to the floor tiles, so I'll just click add and then hit close and hit update. And then again, what that will automatically do is link this takeoff item to the costing. So we've got 3.53 square meters of tiles or floor tiles, and if I go to the costing now, that should also be linked up where I allocated it under that tile supply internal floor tiles line item there. So just another way to link your takeoff to your costing if you do decide that you want your quantities to automatically link to specific line items in your costing. And then the final way that we can add a takeoff to the costing is from the costing section itself. So if we want to do a takeoff for a material and we're in the costing area, we just go to that particular line item, and let's just say we wanted to measure a deck for how many square meters there was, so we can work out a labor rate. So let's just do that one as an example. So we'll go to this carpentry labor to build decking, and what we'll do is we'll hit this calculator icon again, and now instead of selecting from an existing takeoff quantity that we've done, what we'll do is we'll just hit the plus button here, and then that'll automatically take us to the window to be able to create a new takeoff. And you can see it's already populated the name based on what was noted down in that costing line item. Let's just leave the category as default for this example, and we'll select square meters and we'll hit create. And now let's just assume that we're going to do decking to this rear alfresco area. So let's select the rectangle tool there. Okay, so we've got 13.44 square meters for the decking area, and I'll just hit save. And you can see that's then populated back into this calculator screen, and if I hit accept, you can see it adds that measurement into our line item there for carpentry labour to build decking. That concludes this Wunderbuild tutorial on how we add takeoffs to the costing and how you can also produce your takeoffs from the costing itself. Stay tuned for the next video.